They have no navy, it's been knocked out. These were the words of U.S. President Donald Trump on March 3. This followed 48 hours that had destroyed Iran's naval fleet. Iran challenged the U.S., and bombs and missiles quickly followed, wiping out the entire fleet in just 2 days. This is a major blow for Iran, and the situation is expected to worsen for a regime already under strain. After initial American and Israeli strikes that eliminated a significant portion of Iran's leadership, Iran attacked several U.S. military bases. The U.S. responded with the destruction of Iran's entire naval fleet. Tomahawks overwhelmed any Iranian naval strategy, resulting in the loss of 11 warships and multiple attack submarines. This demonstrated that any Iranian action would be met with a more devastating U.S. response. CENTCOM summarized the results. The Gulf of Oman has been emptied. 2 days ago, Iran had 11 ships in the Gulf. Today, they have none. Iran had harassed and attacked international shipping there for decades. Satellite images confirm the damage. The Iris Makran, Iran's first forward base ship, was struck while moored in Bandar Abbas. This vessel, formerly an oil tanker, supported helicopter operations and was among the largest in the region. Smoke and fire were visible in satellite images. A Yamaran-class corvette stationed at Chabahar was also destroyed. These ships, armed with anti-ship and surface-to-air missiles and torpedoes, they were central to Iran's naval strategy. Satellite imagery shows at least 11 warships in Bandar Abbas, now engulfed in black smoke. The Iris Shahid Bagheri, Iran's most significant warship and central to its mobile drone threat, has also been destroyed. Like the Iris Makran, it was converted from a commercial vessel and could launch drones and helicopters. Its loss removes a key component of Iran's drone strategy. U.S. forces also largely destroyed the Iranian naval headquarters in Bandar Abbas, and Admiral Ali Shamkhani of the IRGC was killed in an Israeli airstrike. Iran has lost its entire fleet in the Gulf of Oman, its main naval headquarters, and a top admiral. This situation echoes past events. In the late 1970s and 1980s, Iran had repeatedly targeted the U.S., including the hostage crisis of 1979, the failed Desert One rescue mission, the 1983 Beirut bombing, and other conflicts. The U.S. faced another Middle East setback when an Iraqi jet attacked the USS Stark, killing 37 sailors. On April 18, 1988, Operation Praying Mantis was launched. In hours, the U.S. destroyed 2 Iranian oil platforms, a missile boat, 2 frigates, and 3 armed speedboats. Half of Iran's navy was crippled, the worst blow in modern times to a navy that had existed since the First Persian Empire, over 2,500 years ago. Operation Praying Mantis will feel mild compared to what recently happened to Iran's navy. Older Iranian admirals may feel a sense of déjà vu. They will also question how it occurred. Iran had been preparing for such a conflict with the U.S. since Operation Praying Mantis, rewriting its naval doctrine to prevent embarrassment. Iran developed a layered, asymmetric strategy: fast attack boats to strike and retreat, submarines to ambush, and land-based anti-ship missiles. Its plan relied on ship-to-ship combat, where fast boats could excel, particularly in narrow waters like the Strait of Hormuz. But the U.S. strategy was different. Persistent drone coverage and advanced surveillance ensured U.S. forces always knew locations of Iranian vessels. Iran's navy could not get close to U.S. forces. America used long-range Tomahawk missiles to destroy Iran's fleet before it could act, rendering its doctrine ineffective. The Iris Makran was destroyed using missiles launched from hundreds of miles away, striking in rapid succession, leaving Iran's defenses no chance. These missiles likely came from Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, never allowing Iranian ships within range. Iran expected to confront U.S. warships directly, but instead faced missiles from a distance. Afterward, F-35 aircraft followed up with JDAM bombs for precision strikes. The U.S. neutralized Iran's naval tactics in 48 hours, striking from afar, then closing in for precision damage. This was not a conventional naval battle but a demolition of a force prepared for a threat that never materialized. According to the U.S. Naval Institute, the U.S. had long prepared for Iran's asymmetric naval tactics. These include missiles, midget submarines, naval mines, and anti-ship missile batteries designed to threaten the Strait of Hormuz. American naval forces in the region have been prepared to counter swarm threats, including Hellfire-armed Seahawk helicopters aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln. This brings the focus back to Iran's strategy of constricting U.S. warships in the Strait of Hormuz and why it failed. On the surface, America's Tomahawk strikes appear aimed at weakening Iran militarily, but that is not entirely the case. Dr. Andreas Bhm, a Middle East expert, tells The Telegraph that Iran's navy, weakened by sanctions and outdated equipment, is more like a dwarf compared to the U.S. He adds that much of Iran's air force still operates U.S.-built aircraft from the Shah era. In other words, Iran's military does not pose a significant threat to the U.S. The U.S. strikes were primarily designed to ensure the Strait of Hormuz could remain open. This strait is a critical transit route for global oil shipments. About 20% of all crude passes through it. including 12.5% of oil used by countries in the Americas and 45.7% of the oil received by China. Iran has tried to leverage control of the strait to exert pressure, with senior IRGC advisor Ibrahim Jabari declaring on March 2, "The strait is closed. We will set those ships ablaze." He also threatened attacks on oil pipelines and predicted oil prices would reach $200 per barrel. Maintaining control of the strait requires ships, even just fast attack boats, which the U.S. has removed from the equation. While some ships still attempt passage, total transits are down by about 80%, according to Cappy Army. By neutralizing this leverage, the U.S. removes Iran's primary means of exerting geopolitical pressure. Iran's propaganda has claimed it launched ballistic missiles against the USS Abraham Lincoln, which the U.S. disproved with photos showing the carrier fully operational. Iran has also deployed roughly 400 missiles and 1,000 drones against Gulf states such as Qatar, Jordan, and the UAE. However, this is less than the attacks following Operation Midnight Hammer in 2025, which targeted Iran's nuclear infrastructure. Iran's naval doctrine failed catastrophically, unable to anticipate U.S. tactics beyond expected anti-ship missiles. Once the U.S. changed its approach, Iran's warships were quickly destroyed. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio warned on March 2 that the hardest strikes are still to come, noting that the initial attacks addressed the imminent threat Iran posed. While fronts open across the Middle East, with Iran's proxies like the Houthis engaging in attacks, the damage to Iran's navy has already been done. In just 48 hours, the U.S. dismantled Iran's naval doctrine and stripped away its key leverage. Observers, including Russian President Vladimir Putin, are watching these developments closely, as Iran's weakening has broader geopolitical implications.